beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are having an amazing, marvelous, and magnificent day or night. My name is TV, and if you're a true crime lover like me, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Before I get started, I do want to share with you all two things. First and foremost, shout out to my first comment winner, channel. Thank you so much for being the first comment winner, and if any of you guys want to be the first comment winner, comment down below being the first one, and you can have a chance in being shouted out in one of my future uploads. Secondly, I do have a true crime podcast on Spotify. It's called Talk True Crime to Me, and it is in my regular voice. I'm not whispering, but it's just as soothing, so be sure to check that out. Today we will be talking, whispering rather, about the infamous, is it infamous? I'll just say the viral submersible Titan Ocean Gate situation. 5 people went to visit the Titanic, which sunk back in 1912. On their way to seeing the Titanic in a submersible, it imploded, and all 5 people it was called a Titan, on the Titan submersible all perished. And this happened a couple weeks ago, not even a month ago, according to the time that I'm recording this video. Anyway, let's get into today's video. Sit back, relax, grab a snack, some water, some wine, and enjoy some crime time. Warning, this video may contain details of graphic content. This channel is for mature audiences only. Some viewers might find this disturbing. Before we get into the tragedy of why we are here, I love history, so we are going to retract 111 years ago to the exact dates of April 14th and 15th, 1912. On April 10th, 1912, the Titanic began sailing with 2,240 passengers and crew on board from Southampton, England to New York City. We all know this country loves to uplift and place rich people on pedestals, so let's talk about some of the people that were on that ship. Wealthy industrialists, dignities, and celebrities. White Star Line's managing director, J. Bruce Ismay, along with the ship's actual designers, Arlen and Wolf. J.P. Morgan from J.P. Bank and Chase planned on setting sail, but instead picked J. Bruce Ismay to join. The co-owners of Macy's department store, Isidore Strauss and his wife, Ida Strauss. The passengers on the ship were divided by wealth and or status. First class, second class, and third class. Third class contained the most passengers with a total of 700 people, which exceeded first and second class passengers combined. Third class paid less than $20 to aboard the Titanic. On April 10th, there was a small oil fire in one of the bunkers. The fire was put out and they proceeded on with their adventure. Another eventful event is when the Titanic parted from the Southampton dock. The ship almost collided with another ship, the America Line's SS New York. 4 days into their trip, the Titanic received about 6 different warnings that there were large blocks of ice in the crossing paths. It is unclear on why the warnings were ignored. There are reports that a lot of people had a huge amount of confidence, being that this ship could not sink or suffer any issues. We all clearly now know that anything is possible and anything can go wrong at any given time. At about about 11:30 p.m., a lookout spotted a huge iceberg in the nightly distance. He rang the warning bell and telephoned the bridge. The engines were quickly reversed to avoid collision, and the ship made a sharp turn. But unfortunately, the ship still grazed the iceberg. Unaware of this horrific accident, the captain and the crew still proceeded on their adventure. Meanwhile, the damage to the iceberg caused a 300-foot gash in the hull below the ship's waterline. Meanwhile, the damage to the iceberg caused a 300-foot gash in the hull below the ship's waterline. By the time anyone assessed the damage, the iceberg damaged 5 compartments that were filling with seawater. It was estimated that Titanic only had an hour and a half or more before it would sink. The captain ordered the lifeboats to be loaded. As you could imagine, this caused panic and chaos from everyone aboard. The lifeboat could hold 65 people, but it would continuously be filled with only 28 people. In compliance with the law of the sea, women and children were ordered to board the lifeboats first. Unfortunately, though, many of the victims of the Titanic were women and children. The reason being is because a lot of families did not want to split up. While a lot of them did, most of them did not. Some people selflessly gave up their spots on the lifeboats for more vulnerable people, such as the elderly, possibly the disabled, children, etc. Some people just accepted their fate and stayed aboard the Titanic. A guy by the name of Benjamin Guggenheim and his valet returned to their rooms, dressed themselves in formal attire, and famously stated, quote, "We are dressed in our best and are prepared to go down like gentlemen," end quote. It is unclear how the Captain Edward Smith, spent his final moments, but his body was never recovered. After the Titanic was struck by an iceberg, it lasted about 3 hours, finally sinking at 2:20 a.m. 706 people survived the Titanic. Over 1,500 people lost their lives that day. Stockton Rush was born on March 31st, 1962, in San Francisco, California. He was the youngest of 5 children. As a child, he dreamt of one day becoming an astronaut and wanted to be the first human being to visit Mars. In 1984, Stockton graduated from Princeton University in aerospace engineering. Stockton enjoyed scuba diving and dived in the waters of Puget Sound. In 2006, he went on a submarine trip in British Columbia, which inspired him to want to explore the ocean at lower depths. He began looking into purchasing a submersible. At that time, there were only 100 private-owned submersibles in the world, and he was unable to purchase one. But that didn't stop him. He constructed his own mini-submersible by using the blueprints provided to him by a retired U.S. Navy submarine commander. The submersible was 12 feet long and could dive to a depth of 30 feet. In 2007, Stockton went into finding his own submarine company. He wanted something for underwater ocean tourism. In 2009, he came up with OceanGate with his co-founder. Paul Henry Nargeolet was born on March 2nd, 1946 in France. He relocated to Paris at the age of 16. Between 1964 to 1986, Paul served as an officer in the French Navy. He specialized in mine clearance, diving, and deep underwater intervention. Throughout his deep underwater intervention, he discovered a Roman wreckage that was at a depth of 229 feet. He also located a DHC buffalo that crashed in 1979 with 12 people on board. In 1986, Paul was contacted about diving to the wreck of the Titanic, and he agreed to go. A year later, in 1987, his expedition was the first to collect some antiques from the wreckage. Paul made over 30 dives to the Titanic wreckage. George Hamish Livingston Harding was born on June 24th, 1964. He spent his early years in Hong Kong. He joined the Air Training Corps at 13 years old. In 1985, he attended Pembroke College, Cambridge, and received his piloting license. While there, he founded his private investment company, Action Aviation, in 2002. Hamish visited the South Pole on several occasions, even being featured in the Guinness World Record. In March of 2021, Hamish and someone named Victor Vescovo dived to the deepest point, which was 36,000 feet of the Mariana Trench in a two-person submarine, which again landed him in the Guinness World Records for greatest distance covered, full ocean depth, and greatest time spent at full ocean depth. On June 4th, 2022, he flew to space as part of a suborbital Blue Origin NS-21 mission. In September of 2022, his company supplied a custom Boeing 747-400 aircraft to transport 8 wild cheetahs from Namibia to India to reintroduce the cheetah in India. Cheetahs have been extinct in India since 1952. This man had one hell of a life. He visited the South Pole, space, and the depths of ocean all in one lifetime. Talk about someone that lived life to the fullest. He is the definition of that. Shahzada was born on February 12, 1975 in Pakistan. His grandfather founded the family business Dawood Group. Shahzada received a law degree from Buckingham University and his Master of Science from Philadelphia University, which is now Thomas Jefferson University. Shahzada served as the vice chairman of the Engro Corporation, as well as the director of the Wood Hercules Corporation, which is a fertilizer business. From 1996 to 2023, Shahzada served as a trustee of the family foundation, the Dawood Foundation, which focused on education. It is designed to cater to people from all walks of society, including those with learning and physical disabilities. In 2012, he was named a Young Global Leader by the World Economic Forum. His 19-year-old son, Solomon Dawood, was born in 2004. He was a business student at the University of Strathclyde in Glasgow, United Kingdom, and he just finished his first year there. Solomon was a fan of science fiction, enjoyed playing volleyball, and had a love of solving Rubik's Cubes. He took the Rubik's Cube with him everywhere he went and could solve it in 12 seconds. Their family stated they were each other's greatest supporters, and they both shared a passion for adventure and exploration of all the world had to offer them. Shahzada had an obsession with the Titanic since a little boy. Him and his little sister was constantly watching the 1958 film A Night to Remember. When Shahzada met his wife, he asked her could they sit down and watch a 4-hour documentary about the Titanic. He also enjoyed going to museum expeditions that stored antique artifacts from the ship. As I previously mentioned, OceanGate was a company founded by two people in 2009. The headquarters are located in Everett, Washington. OceanGate had a submersible called the Titan that would transport up to 5 people to the bottom of the ocean floor to view the Titanic wreckage. Titan was a 21-foot vessel and weighed 20,000 pounds. Some trips varied and lasted as long as 8 days. The expedition cost $250,000 per passenger to view the wreckage of the Titanic through a small viewport. To reach the bottom of the ocean floor, it takes about 2.5 hours. Depending on the conditions, the dive team explore the floor. Depending on the conditions, the dive team explore the ocean floor for up to 4 hours. And to reach the surface, it takes about 2.5 hours. To top everything off, the Titan was controlled by a $30 video game controller. On June 18th, 2023, at 8 a.m., all 5 passengers began to descend to the Titanic wreckage site, which would have been a 2-hour descent, 12,500 feet in the North Atlantic. The vessel was supposed to send out an alert every 15 minutes, but an hour and 45 minutes into the trip, Titan lost communication with the mothership. At 3 p.m., Titan failed to appear at the surface. At 5:40 p.m., the Canadian Coast Guards received a report about the submersible not returning to the surface. At 5:40 p.m., the Canadian Coast Guards received a report about the submersible not returning to the surface. At 10:40 p.m., the U.S. Coast Guards were alerted. The search immediately began on Monday, June 19th, about 900 nautical miles off Cape Cod. The search immediately began on Monday, June 19th, about 900 nautical miles off the coast of Cape Cod. Commercial vessels were sent to help out with the search. They stated, quote, "Our entire focus is on the crew members in the submersible and their families. We are exploring and mobilizing all options to bring the crew back safely," end quote. The search continued on Tuesday, June 20th. There was speculation that the Titan may have been stuck in the Titanic's propellers. Canadian Pete aircraft attempting to find the submersible heard what was said to be banking noises in 30-minute intervals. On Wednesday, June 21st, the crew's oxygen supply began to run low. Originally, they had 96 hours of oxygen when they began their trip on June 18th. On Thursday, June 22nd, it was reported the oxygen supply ran out at around 7:08 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Pieces of debris were found 1,600 feet from the Titanic wreckage. The debris consisted with catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber. The submersible imploded about 90 minutes into their dive, and none of the passengers seen it coming. Here is what possibly happened to the Titan. This would have happened in seconds. The pieces of debris were brought ashore on June 28th, and there could have been human remains in what was left of the Titan. In this portion of the video, I am going to share with you a few people's negative experience with a submersible, so you can get an idea of what it's like. Dr. Michael Gillian became the first TV correspondent to visit the wreckage. Dr. Michael Gillian explained that in September of 2000, he was invited to be the first TV correspondent to go down and report on the Titanic. He personally did not want to go because he had a fear of water, but chose to go anyway. It took them 2.5 hours to reach the bottom, where the wreckage is, and he stated everything went fine while they were descending. They headed to the stern. Their submersible got caught in an underwater current, which pushed their submersible into the giant Titanic propellers. Explain that they were caught between the body of the Titanic and the blades of the propellers. The propellers weighed 21 tons, by the way. Huge chunks of rusted metal came raining on their submersible. He continued stating that was the most terrifying thing he had ever experienced in his life. He also said that he's been to the South Pole, the North Pole, he's been in war zones, but that incident topped everything. Dr. Michael Gillian continued by explaining how small the submersible is. In his case, it was a 3-man sub, and him and his diving partner spent the entire time on their bellies looking out of a 8-inch viewport. Stated once you're in the sub and you begin to descend, the sunlight immediately goes, so it's pitch black. The interior of the sub also starts sweating. He explained that he felt as if he was buried alive under 2 miles of water. He stated he realized they were in huge trouble because this is not like your car being stuck in the mud and you can call the tow truck company to get you out. There is no one around there. There is no one that will be able to come get you. He stated that he accepted his fate, and a voice in his head stated, "This is how it's going to end." But in the midst of all the sadness, he got a sense of peace. Thanks to the amazing pilot of the sub, they were able to get out of the propellers and begin their ascent up to the surface. The youngest person to visit the Titanic. In 2005, 13-year-old Sebastian Harris visited the Titanic with his father, Titanic expedition leader G. Michael Harris. The trip lasted for 12 hours. During the trip, their oxygen levels suddenly began to drop. While they were descending, Sebastian felt unconscious and quickly regained consciousness. He stated, quote, "Thankfully, we had oxygen meters inside the sub that were showing lower oxygen levels than normal. So we cranked it up and then I was back in the game," end quote. He broke the record of the youngest Titanic wreckage visitor at 13 years old and received a plaque for it. In my opinion, I'm going to be completely honest with you all. When I first heard about this story, I thought, who would pay $250,000 to go see the wreckage at the bottom of the ocean? Then I had to think about it in a different way. As humans, we are very inquisitive about everything. We all have something daring that we would love to check off our list and say, "I did that." So this incident is nothing different. Some people want to jump out of planes. Others want to visit the bottom of the ocean, so it's understandable why this was a thing. However, the most scary part about this whole incident is once you begin descending, no one can save you, basically. Like, that's it. If something goes wrong, that's it. So that is the most scariest thing, in my opinion. However, this is a whole, little community, boys and girls. The lesson we learned today was to stay on land. Everything does not need to be explored by the human eyes. The Titanic has been remade several different times, so we can watch it all on video. If you want to see the Titanic wreckage, it has been discovered and there's plenty of videos on YouTube. So let's go ahead and look it up. And also, in my opinion, I feel like everything that's on this earth does not need to be discovered by humans. I think a lot of times we should just mind our business. There is no reason why humans should be at the bottom of the freaking ocean. Like, just let the sea creatures and the aliens and all of those creatures, let them be in their world and we can stay in our world. So that's how I feel. Thank you all so much for watching the video. I'll get you all in my next video. And I love you guys. Also, if you have any cases, I'm working on a big project at the end of this year. So if you have any cases you want me to talk about, please share them below. I need about 20 different cases, so please leave those in the comment section down below.